Hello, true duelists. My name's Craig Fee, and as always, welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Update. The World Championship qualifiers have officially kicked off for the 2024 season, with the Central American event taking place this past weekend. And to celebrate it, Konami did the utmost that they could. That is to say, they put out one singular tweet announcing the event and that it was going to begin, and then followed it up with nothing else at all. There was no stream, there was no coverage of the event on the Konami blog, and they didn't even tweet out who won. They just moved on from it completely, from what I can tell. Instead, they tweeted out promoting the World Championship event itself, taking place in Seattle this year, taking special time to mention last year's world champion Paulie Anderson, which the replies were quick to remind them that Paulie was banned from competitive play shortly after winning the World Championship title, which is about on par for what I expect from Konami and the community in response. So I don't know, that was fucking cool. In all actuality, thanks to it being the modern day, we can at least take time to thank the community at large for reporting on the event where Konami will not. And I'm gonna make these special shout outs to Yugioh Pro Deck, of course, and Lampy Yugioh, which were my two main sources, because they can't be beat. The best of the best, what can I say? The Central American WCQ saw over 1,100 duelists coming out to compete and bask in the eternal joy that can only be provided by snake eye mirrors, or so the Germans would have us believe. Top 64 of the main event did look appropriate for the format. Every once in a while when there's some shenanigans that occur in Latin American events and just like shenanigans, like Sprite was just way better here last year in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, but nothing insane actually this year. Everything's pretty reasonable. Like, it's not insane to think that Fluwanda Rees made it to top 64 because Shifter and the Penguin can win duels, as it turns out. It's not inconceivable. Thankfully, it's the bog standard of the format where, as I montage the top tables and the top events, that being 64, on to top 32, to top 16, and on to top 8, you are inevitably watching Snake Eye eat up more and more of the pie, because that's just what the deck does. It won't shock you to learn that Snake Eye won out the event proper, but if you played in 2015, it may shock you that Pure Melodious got second. That's not crazy for the modern day at all. Melodious has proven itself to be a very viable and competitive deck in the current format, but my concept of time is limited and my Shadal playing ass is astounded. So congrats to the winner of the event, Luis Gabriel Romo Rosas. Sure hope so. With nothing to talk about from the deck perspective, no disrespect going on here, I just mean to say, what do you want me to say here that hasn't been said about this list that won the event? He said facetiously, because that's not the list that won the event. This is. The one I showed prior was the second place deck list from German nationals. And yes, there are differences in the deck lists, but let's be real here. Hand traps versus engines versus hand traps versus engines doesn't relieve an abundance for me to be talking about. So congrats to Luis and of course to Juan Daniel Juarez Nequi. Oh God, who won the Central American WCQ points playoffs, giving us our two players the spots for Worlds initially from the TCG, our first two from the TCG going to Worlds. So huge congrats to them. This weekend, of course, coming up will be a big one with the South American WCQ as well as the Oceanic one. And the Oceanic event will in fact be streamed thanks to Konami's ability to exist in 2024. And hey, maybe the South American event will get 2 tweets about it. Huh? Wouldn't that be fucking crazy? In some light news for the Infinite Forbidden, we got 2, let's say, inadvertent reveals for the set here in the TCG. And maybe inadvertent isn't the exact right word for me to use, but it's the one that I chose, so fucking deal with it. Because they did reveal some of the giant card prizes that will be available at the North American World Championship qualifier for players to win this year, and among them was both the Fiendsmith main deck monster Fiendsmith Engraver and the not quite maxi Molcharmi Perulia, which are the official TCG name. So get ready to hear people bitching about how dumb it is that they changed it from Mulchummy to Mulcharmy, when this is the only official name we've ever had. At no point prior did Konami call it Mulchummy, but unfortunately people are incapable of distinguishing the Yugioh organization from Konami themselves. America explained. Sick Vine reference, dude. Either way, they're both secret rare, which is no shock to anyone. Fiendsmith is an incredibly versatile engine that's being played damn near everywhere and would be amongst the most desired cards of the set, regardless of the rarity that they were going to be putting it at. So I guess they gotta milk it. And the Mulcharmy is the new side deck staple, as most can agree, if nothing else. They did also reveal that the Exodia Fusion, the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate, will be an ultra rare, but that's far less interesting, so I'm just gonna fucking ignore it. Functionally, this means that both cards will be pricey, but I think everyone knew that already regardless. Tenpai had a $20 super rare. It might still have it now, but it did at one point. So there's no guarantee that lower rarity means more affordable. I mean, it is more affordable, but it's not cheap. Okay, as to how much these cards will cost, I believe I saw Fiendsmith going on pre-order for like €75. And I mean, if we want to be super real about it, the last time Super Splashable Engine reached peaks with $135 for Wanted and like $45 for Diabell Star, so I guess that's our worst case scenario. And the new Max C, it's kind of unpredictable. I didn't see, I really should have looked more thoroughly before this moment, but I didn't, so I'll throw it on screen here. Regardless, my prediction is that it's going to be really high on release and then slowly drop a little bit over time, and then someone will top with it in some capacity, and then once it's featured in that deck list, it'll jump up in price again immediately afterwards. So there you go. Just win the big one from the NAWCQ and use that, because I'm sure no judge will ever complain about you using a card the size of like 6 playing mats. Also big this week was the reveal of the OCG's ban list for the July 1st format over there, which is notable for being the ban list that will be in effect under the Unified Worlds list, if I'm not mistaken. For the most part, it was just the OCG bringing a bunch of cards off of the ban list, with the notable exceptions being limiting the Tenpai Field Spell, limiting Snake Eye Ash, and that one gimmick puppet Xyz, and then they banned Catapult Turtle and Kaiser Coliseum. So at most, there's 1 Snake Eye Ash at Worlds and 2 Bonfires, which is also important. They did also limit Beatrice, and SP Little Knight, which is really, really funny because Beatrice being limited only really affects like specifically Burning Abyss players, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe some VW players, but either there's like 7 people tops in the OCG that are in shambles over the Beatrice limit. And then SP Little Knight is, I guess, following the whole, we know it's a thing and we'll hit it here to hint that we'll hit it in the future. But to me, it feels more like the dog in the room that's on fire telling me that everything is fine. You know, it's like, yep, everything's fine. And I believe him. This is fine. It's perfectly fine. It's not really like good, but it's also not the worst list the OCG could have put out. Remember that time they announced that the ban list change was just no changes? It could have been that, I guess. So yeah, I guess at the very least, Tenpai won't be winning Worlds in the TCG. Probably. Master Duel also revealed another ban list this week, which, when we go over it, looks incredibly similar to what I was just talking about. Like shockingly similar. As in, once again, they banned Kaiser Coliseum and Catapult Turtle, meaning that turtle's gonna fucking die everywhere. What a tragedy. Do not tell PETA. Konami out here just capping turtles. Either way, they did semi-limit Bonfire as well, which is, you know, it's a hit. It's a hit on some capacity. Most interesting to me is that Zeus is at 2 again, so Zoo players are probably losing their minds, but I actively ignore them as much as I can. And Konami has even stepped in to tell Pearly players the correct number of Black Cat to be playing, because you should only have 2 Pearly Lee. Ain't you been watching the... Either way, it makes enough sense. The FTK sucks a lot more in a best of 1, so if it's banned in best of 3 world, yeah, it should be banned in best of 1 land. And limiting summon limit kind of sucks, but at least it's not a 3 anymore, so copium. Also, clearly, Konami has decided that we all get to deal with Snake Eye for the entirety of the summer because nowhere is hitting this deck as much as it needs to be hit to be pushed out of the meta proper. And that is me, of course, saying it to tempt fate, because if the Konami TCG team comes in and proves me wrong, then I just don't have to hear bitching about Snake Eye or play against Snake Eye outside of like Master Duel. So that's a win in my books either way. Either my script was right or I'll be vindicated. Like fucking win-win. Easy peasy. And last up this week was, of course, the best piece of promotion Konami has received from the universe in a hot minute, coming from, of all places, one specific Olympic runner for the American team. Noah Lyles made headlines this past week for pulling out a copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon after running for the American 100-meter Olympic dash in the qualifiers, if I'm not mistaken. Truthfully, I didn't look into too much of what exactly it was he was running in. I easily could have confirmed this, but elected not to, as I was obliterated when he also pulled out the head of Exodia in another race as well. Because, I don't know, fucking comedy. This all happened initially on the 22nd of June this month, if I'm not mistaken, and it only took Konami's Twitter account 4 days to retweet this free-ass piece of publicity. And now I'm talking about it 6 days later. Actually, I'm talking about it 5 days, but you're watching it 6 days later. The power of filming, ladies and gentlemen. Either way, it's crazy. Look at that, man had card. It's cool. It's neat. It's crazy. I'm talking about it. What is the script saying here? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Either way, it was a really sick flip of the card. I was like, holy shit. That was slick, man. That was cool. That was cooler than anything I've ever done. What the fuck? Makes enough sense. He's a literal Olympic athlete, and I'm Game Guy himself. And so that'll wrap it up for this week's update. As always, I've been your host, Gregory Meganite. That's right, shoutouts as always to the LIFD Magnetic Display, the best way to support my channel currently, and the true duelist approved way to show off all your favorite cards. So if you want to get your hands on one of these bad boys, you can use promo code YGOSTRATS15 for 15% off, or you can have it apply automatically by clicking the link in the description of this video. Thanks, of course, to LIFD for the support, as always, and thank you for watching. So please hit that subscribe button. Not only will you be impressing your smoking Italian wife, you'll become a true duelist. And really, what more could you want from the push of a single button? It's not a single thing you could want more. I was actually going to pull out my gun here, but instead I only have this spare camera battery, so let's all pretend. Subscribe.